The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Cancel that. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Hey, everybody. Scott Hudson here with Agent Mastermind. So excited to see everybody here today. Got a big group coming in. Got a big group. Over 700 signed up. And, man, I'm just excited. I got an awesome dude who's crushing it out of Myrtle Beach. I love Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He's a full-time real estate agent, speaker, influencer, and author. And get this, guys, tomorrow you're going to be able to go to Amazon.com and download his Kindle version book called 53 Strategies to Get More Listings. Jason Morris, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing, man?
Hey, Scott. Hey, I really appreciate you guys having me here. You know, we talked about me talking about my whole for sale owner strategy. So I've got my notes here, and I have like a full hour plan for you guys, like a full hour.
Wait.
So,
Love it. I'm going to step aside. I got my notebook, man. I'm ready for you.
Hey, well, you know the thing is, I read a lot, and I like to read a lot of I like to read sports books. Like I'm a big fan of sports books and stuff, and you know, but one of the books I've been reading here this week is they have a quote from General Tommy Franks in it, and he says, "Hope is not a strategy." And I feel like a lot of agents going out there, they just get up in the morning, they go to their office, and they just hope things are going to happen. You know, they hope the phone's going to ring, they hope that ad they put in the newspaper or whatever it is going to work out. And you know, the sad thing is, what our industry is really missing is we're not missing training on how to use Facebook or how to get your website ranked in Google, because everybody seems to talk about that. What we're missing is like that basic sales strategy, Scott, you know, and the basic sales training and stuff that people need, you know. And you know, and the thing is, nobody can really perform under pressure unless they're prepared. And that's what a lot of what I do in my business is, that I made it a habit of becoming just really, really prepared. And I got that from Lou Holtz. He was a famous coach. He was from Notre Dame's probably the biggest place he coached, or that's the most well-known. Then he coached the South Carolina Gamecocks for a while. But what I did was I made some notes here for you guys. And you know, the first thing I want to talk about is, for you guys to be successful, whether it's getting for sale by owners or listing expireds, you guys have to have a strategy, and you have to have leads. That's the big thing, having your lead sources straight, because what you want to be able to do is, you don't want to get up in the morning and have your schedule set up where you need to start making calls and stuff, and then you have to spend 2 or 3 hours looking for leads, looking up numbers, trying to find that hard to get expired and stuff. So I always tell agents, you got to have a place where you're going to get leads from. And I got 4 places here I'm going to tell you that you know, we'll kind of keep this geared towards for sale by owners, but it works for expireds too. The number 1 place that I get my for sale by owners from is RedX, but there's a lot of aggregation services. One of the reasons why I've been using RedX and is because you can actually go through RedX, you can grab their whole database of for sale by owners. You can do the same thing with expireds and stuff like that. If you tell them Jason Morris sent you, the waive the $150 sign-up fee, but you can start today, and you can have, if you go back through their history, depending on your market, you could have a couple thousand leads on the day one. You know, another place, I like the aggregation services, but on Craigslist. If you guys get on Craigslist, there'll be a lot of for sale by owners that they don't put their number, they just put their email address. And the easiest way to get their phone number is just send them an email that just says, "Hey, what's the best number to contact you?" And the thing is, about half of them will just email you their number, and a lot of them even email you the best times to call them. So I like Craigslist. I still look at Zillow. The best for sale by owners that I get are come from driving around, going to appointments. I've kind of made it a habit that when I'm on the way to an appointment or I'm on the way home, some days, you know, I'll cut through a neighborhood I hadn't cut through in a while. And the best, the best for sale by owners is that guy that's sitting in the back of the community. He's got his little red and white sign out there. he's wrote on it with his Sharpie pencil, and he's tried to get a full description in that little space they provide. So his number is like a 0.8 size font. You know, and you got to get out and actually write down the number. That's the best for sale by owners because that guy's getting no calls on it. So the thing about a for sale by owner, there's a lot of reasons they do what they do, but a lot of them think that they're going to save real estate commission, or they've got an idea that a realtor is going to do something they don't like, or they're not going to be able to get the price they're looking for it. There's a lot of misconceptions they have, and you know, our job as realtors is to our job is really to educate them a lot. So, you know, most, you know, for sale by owners, they want to list with a certain type of agent, I've found. And they want that agent to be confident. They want to be prepared, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And they want an agent that has a plan. And, you know, the best way to give them that plan, you know, you think about it in your market, you know, we're really not in the business of selling houses. Really, we're in the business of selling a service that sells houses. And when you kind of wrap your mind around that, you know, and then you look at other agents in your market, you know, most of them don't really know what they're doing. You know, they're doing open house this weekend, they're doing Facebook ads next weekend, they're trying to get brokers to come tour their listings, they're doing all this random stuff, but most agents don't have a system that they say, hey, this is exactly what we're doing to sell your home, and this is the service we provide that sells your home. So what I learned, and this comes from a lot of coaching and just trial and error, was I learned that one thing that set me apart from other people was to have a pre-listing package or a pre-appointment package. And what it is, you know, it's a 10 to 12 page summary of me and my company and what we do to sell houses, and it goes through and it has basically my entire marketing plan there. So once you send that to people, typically the way it goes is I get on the phone in the morning and I'm calling my for sale by owners and stuff, and then during the conversation I get somebody that's interested. We're having a meaningful conversation. I send this pre-listing package to every single person that that I think wants to sell their house. I ask them for their email address. I typically send it to them email. And the reason I only do like 10 to 12 pages, and I've had agents send me theirs and want me to look at it and stuff, and to be honest, there's some agents out there that have amazing plans. I mean, there's some of them that have, you know, a 200-point marketing plan. You know, it's 50 pages, it's beautifully designed, it looks fantastic. They've had, you know, just this great piece of marketing material done. But the thing is, if it's 50 pages, I mean, Scott, if somebody sends you a 50-page PDF, what do you do to it?
Throw it away.
Yeah, throw it away. Man, we hit delete or we just never look at it, you know?
Right, exactly.
And that's what these sellers do too. You know, if you got 10 pages that's got some pictures and they've got some, you know, stuff in there that's easy to scroll through, you know, 10-page PDF, there's a good chance you're going to look at that, and aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So once you send that over to them, that is typically that's your listing presentation. That's all the information about you guys. That's your plan that you're going to use to sell their house. So also with this listing package, I go ahead and send the net sheet. And what I've got is I've got a simple net sheet. It's easy to understand. It's 3 columns. And this net sheet, typically it's going to show them, and it's 3 columns. It's a low price, a medium price, and a high price. I send that out to every single person that I send the pre-listing package out to, and it gives them an idea of what they can net and what they can put in their pocket. And so typically that pre-listing package, and I know I'm going kind of fast here, but there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to cover, and I wanted to kind of get through the whole system. So Scott, any questions you have, man, stop me and ask.
Yeah, no worries.
So
and if you guys have any questions on the right, if you guys have any questions, there's a question box on the right-hand side, and it says answer questions. Someone is saying, James is saying, is he saying net sheet? Is that what you're talking about when you give it to him? You give him a net sheet when you...
Yes, NET.
Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm using my own net sheet that I've done in an Excel spreadsheet, and basically a lot of the net sheets that a lot of lenders and stuff give us sometimes, man, the problem is they're really complicated. They got a lot of stuff on them that, you know, is kind of far out there. You know, it's kind of like what if things. They're kind of confusing. They have a lot of lines. My net sheet is pretty simple. I mean, typically the only things that are going to come out of closings, at least here in South Carolina, is you got your commissions, you got your deed stamps, which is really a transfer of tax. Then you've got an attorney fee or title company fee, and then sometimes I usually do a miscellaneous of $1,000, and that covers things like termite inspections and minor things like that. Sometimes that the seller has to pay for. But that net sheet is going to be something that you're going to use for a tool. You're going to send it beforehand, because hopefully in your script, and we'll get to scripts in a second too, hopefully, you know, during your script, you kind of have an idea of what they're looking to put in their pocket and what they're looking to walk away with. Because that net sheet, you're going to design that net sheet completely around that number that they want to net. So when you're sending it, it's going to go ahead and overcome a lot of the objections as far as commissions and things like that. So guys, next thing I want to talk about is schedule. And we're going to circle around and tie a lot of this stuff together here. Schedule. You guys have to have a schedule. You know, whether you're prospecting for sale by owners, you're prospecting expireds or whatever it is, you got to have a schedule, and you have to put your prospecting time in your schedule. Because if you don't, the problem is you're just never going to get to it, you know. And typically my daily schedule, I get up in the morning about 6:30. I kind of go through my little daily routine. I like to eat breakfast. I like to make some coffee. I like to listen to some motivational materials and things like that. And then about 8:15, I'm on the phone and I'm dialing. And I do use a dialer. And typically what I'm doing is, the reason I do it first thing in the morning is because I'm full of energy and I got a lot of stuff. You know, if I wait till 10, 11 o'clock in the day, I'm going to have other stuff kind of enter my day, and it's going to kind of mess me up, and I'm going to keep putting it off, and next thing I know it's going to be 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm not going to have done anything. So I typically plan like about 2 to 3 hours of prospecting time a day. And I've found, and a lot of that is, it's new calls plus it's old calls, you know, it's follow-up. Because guys, you need to think of like your calls and your initial calls as a funnel. The initial call is putting leads into the top of the funnel, and then your follow-up and stuff is what's actually going to work it through that funnel and get you out to the other end and hopefully turn that lead into a listing. So your schedule is the most important thing. So from 8 till 10:30, 11, I'm on the phone making calls. From 11 to 12, I'm sending out those pre-listing packages. Anybody I got to email back, doing paperwork, getting ready for stuff. 12 o'clock, I eat lunch every day, man, around 12, 12:30. If I don't, I'm just a grouchy person and nobody can get along with me. And then after 1 o'clock, the rest of my day is just going on appointments. Now, if I don't have any appointments, my job is to go back to the office and look for appointments. And I think a lot of agents miss that, you know, with follow-up. You know, we really only have, our job is pretty simple as a real estate agent. We either talk to buyers or we talk to sellers, you know, and if you want to do more business, you need to do one of those two things. You either need to talk to more buyers or talk to more sellers. If you want to do more seller business, you need to talk to more sellers and you need to get more seller leads. So if I don't have appointments, that's what I typically do. In my weekly schedule, I have time set aside for paperwork for my office, and that's probably like my biggest weak point is what to do with paperwork. Man, you can ask my broken charge. He participates in my group a lot, real estate agents that really work, and you can ask him, man. Paperwork is definitely not my strong point, you know. But
hey, Jason, there's some awesome questions coming in if you don't mind. So Sandy is saying, would you share your marketing plan / checklist?
Yes, I sure will.
Would you?
Man,
okay.
I'm looking for the questions. I don't want to miss any of you guys.
You might not be able to see them, so I'm just going to ask them as we go along. So I kind of like you're a presenter, so you might not see them. So, and then the other one was, will you share your pre-listing package? Michael's asking
Yeah.
that. Thanks for being here, Michael.
Yeah, man. Actually, my pre-listing package and my marketing plan is really the same thing.
Okay.
If you go to jasonmorrisprelistingpackage.com, you can download it for free. What it'll do is it'll ask you to subscribe, and then basically once you subscribe and hit the button, it will email you a link to download it. And then and guys, I'm like super low tech, but it'll also, like a few hours later, it'll email you my script that I'm using too.
Okay. I'm going to put it, guys, there's a chat down on the very bottom. I'm going to put this down there. Jason Morris Prelisting Package.com, right?
Yep.
All right. I put that down in the bottom.
Jason
so
Morris
email, first name, last name, phone number. Yep. And that'll give you the download there. Cool. And then the handout's the same thing. Awesome. All right.
Yep, man. So yeah, so that's really what I send. And this thing, you guys can go in. It's a Word doc file. You can edit it. If you do it in Google Docs, that's what I do. You can go through and edit it, and then you can change it to a PDF really easy. Don't send people a doc file, you know, because probably half the world doesn't have Microsoft Word anymore.
Right.
You know, and so your clients aren't going to be able to open it. You know, so so guys, what was the other question? Was about the marketing plan. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody, man.
Yeah.
But
so
you know,
so if you go to prelisting pack or Jason Morris prelistingpackage.com, you can download it there. Another question is Kathy. Kathy says, do you include commission on the net sheet?
I sure do. I make sure that I include commission. And what I typically do is I use an active pricing strategy when I price places. Have you ever heard of that, Scott?
I have not. What's it called again?
An active. Well, I call it an active pricing strategy. So some people may call it a lot of other things, but I've got this idea, and this has just come over a long period of time. I mean, we're in a market that's moving up, and I think most of the country is kind of in a similar position as us. You know, our market is steady getting better. So the property that sold last week or sold 6 months ago, that house is no longer available and will never be back on the market in the time frame a buyer looking today is going to buy a house, you know. And if it does come back on the market, it's going to be at a lot higher price. So that property's gone forever. What I'm doing is I'm taking the property and I'm actually looking at, I look at the solds, but I'll really look at the active competition within the neighborhood, and then depending on the area, I go out 1 mile and 2 miles. And if it's more rural, sometimes I have to go out 4 or 5 miles. But I'm looking at exact homes. If it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 2-car garage, you know, I'm looking for 3-bedroom, 2-baths on a 2-car garage, you know, on a 1/4-acre lot, you know what I mean? And I'm looking at how is it competing with the homes in the area, because that's all that buyers have to look at today, you know? It's like if you go in the mall and you go in, say JCPenney, I think everywhere has JCPenney. If you go in JCPenney and you want to buy bed sheets, and they don't have the bed sheets you want for the price range you want them in, you either have to wait until they come available or there's a sale, or you got to go to another store or another area. And houses are the same way. Man, if you got a buyer that's looking for a house for $100,000, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, for example, and it's not available in the area they want to live in, they either have to go to another area or they just have to wait until it comes available. So I price everything based on that active strategy, and I try to be like, typically when you go out, when you look in the neighborhood or you go out like a mile, you know, typically in my market, you know, you'll end up with 8 to 12, you know, 15 properties, and then I look and see how it compares. And when you have a strategy like that that you can explain really easy versus, oh yeah, this one sold 6 months ago, this one sold a year ago, typically you'll end up pricing a property a little bit higher than you would based on the solds completely. So usually, you know, a lot of people will go, oh, well, you know, for sale by owners, they're overpriced. But really, if you start looking at what that house is competing with in a lot of markets and a lot of areas, you'll be surprised if you look at the actual real competition. You know what I mean? Now this sucks for you guys that are mortgage lenders, because you guys are going to be ordering appraisals based on the solds. But I'm finding too that appraisers in our area are, you know, they're adjusting. I mean, typically, you know, one of the questions I get asked when I tell other agents this, they go, Well, what if it doesn't appraise? Well, you know, that's another conversation you got to have with everybody. But typically, I find the appraiser's job is to justify the value on the contract. Is that correct?
Hopefully,
Is to justify
yeah,
the value and the price they're paying for. Hopefully,
well,
you know,
I think,
hopefully,
yeah. The appraisal is really to make sure that the buyer's not paying too much for the property, right? I mean, that's the
they're not
bottom line.
paying
What
too
is the
much,
real
and the
value
bank's money is going to be
compared to what's out
secure
there?
and things like
Right.
that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, man, if you guys start using that active pricing strategy, you're going to be able to price a little bit higher than what you typically would. Plus, you know, you got to make sure that when you're doing your scripts that you ask the seller, hey, how much will you guys take for this house? What will you take? What do you want to walk away with? And what you're looking for is you're looking for their net, and then work it backwards on your net sheet, and then look for the comps and stuff to support that value. Look at your active pricing strategy. Go out, look how it compares, and if the price really is way over market, then you can really easily look at the competition and explain that easier to a seller versus explaining, yeah, this one sold last year, this one sold 3 months ago. You know, you're going, hey, there's one down the street. You know, your house is nice, but there's one down the street that's got a sunroom and it's sitting on a pond, you know, and it's $10,000 less than what you're wanting for yours. That's, you know, facing a ditch. It's facing a transformer, you know, unit. So it'll really make things a little bit easier for you. But Scott, the next thing I want to talk about, man, is scripts, and I know you're working in the mortgage industry. You know, it's kind of crazy. For some reason, the real estate industry, it seems like we are the only sales profession that does not think that we need to use scripts. You know, and the thing is, like, everybody uses a script. You know, a doctor uses a script. You know, when they're doing heart surgery, man, they got a little thing that they follow where they're steady asking themselves questions. You know, an attorney, if you got to go to court, you know, your attorney, if you're using a good attorney, he better have a script. You know what I mean? He better know what he's going to say when he gets up there. You know, so and the thing is, you know, we need a script that you're comfortable with as an agent. You know, I see a lot of trainers that are out there and they're wanting to sell scripts for some crazy amount of money. And the thing is, there's not a magic one, and there's not a magic question that's going to get you in the door. Like, there's one particular trainer, he's got his $1 million question. Man, the thing that's going to make a script work is you having confidence in that script. That confidence is going to shine through when you're on the phone. So, you know, when you get that pre-listing package, I'm going to send you my script, and my script is more of like a dialogue, and I use the same script for both expired and for sale by owners, because really we're really having the same conversation. And one thing I see agents do, though, is they use my script for a week, then they go use Mike Ferry's script for a week, then they use the Keller Williams Bold script for a week, and the problem is, well, there's a lot of problems with that, but you need to pick a script and commit to using the same script over and over for 30, 60, 90 days. And that's where the magic's going to happen for you. You know, what's going to happen when you start using that same script over and over, you're going to start noticing that you're going to start getting the same answers over and over to the same questions. So about 30 days after you start using it, and you've asked those same questions, you know, 500 times, 1,000 times, you're going to get really good at anticipating how people are going to answer those questions and how they're going to answer. You're going to get really good at overcoming the objections they're going to give you, because now you've heard the same objection over and over again, and hopefully you've role played it, you've talked to somebody in your office about it, you've thought about it and stuff. And the thing is, like, sellers, there's not classes and there's not webinars for sellers to create new objections with. You know, and the same thing with buyers. There's not new buyer objections that are coming out. The same objections sellers are using in my market, they were using 12, 13 years ago when I first started. But that's where the magic's going to happen. You know,
somebody's asking, Jason, do you have scripts that you use? Like, what is the? Let's just go through, like, what is the script that you use when you call a FSBO? Like when you call or when you stop by a house and it's face to face.
When you download my pre-listing package, it actually sends you out the script also. But typically mine is pretty simple. It's mostly like, hey, Mr. Seller, this is Jason Morris with eXp Realty. I was calling you about your house for sale. Are you still looking to sell it? You wait for them to answer, and typically they're going to say yeah because you just either saw it online or you just saw the sign or whatever. So I let them answer. Well, let me ask you, how much would you want for the house? And you let them ask, answer and give you a
Cool.
price. And yeah, sometimes they'll tell you, hey, we're asking for the price that you saw on Zillow, or asking for the price you saw on Craigslist, or whatever it is. So
Sure.
then I start asking them questions about the house. I start creating a dialogue with them. Well, I'll tell you what, how old's the roof? How old's the hot water heater? How old's the HVAC? Lots of times while I'm doing that, when I'm making calls in the morning, I'm sitting in front of my computer and I've got Red X pulled up on one screen, and I got MLS pulled up on another one. Lots of times I'll go ahead and punch in the community they're in or their address or something and see if it's on the market and stuff. And then as I'm going through this, I ask, how soon do you guys want to sell? And then I let them answer. And really what I'm looking for is I'm hoping they'll give me some sort of motivation. Or if they say, yeah, we'd like to sell in the next month. Oh, really? Why are you guys selling? Why are you guys looking to sell? And typically they'll give you some reason, whether it's moving for a job, they got a grandkid that's being born in New York and they want to move back, whatever it is. And what you want to do is you want to make notes on all this stuff. So as soon as we get through the motivation questions, then I go ahead and start setting an appointment or trying to set an appointment. Well, Scott, that sounds great, man. It looks like you got a nice house. You're asking $150,000 for it. I feel like we can get you $150,000. Scott, what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to, do you have an email address? I'd like to send you some information about me and my team and what we do to sell houses. And then about 9 out of 10, I go ahead and give you an email address. And then I immediately start setting an appointment. And you have to dictate the appointment, though. You can't say, well, Scott, when's a good time to meet you? You got to say, well, Scott, look, I'm going to be in your area on Tuesday. Would it work for you if I stopped by your house at 4 o'clock? And if they say no, go, oh, okay, well, great. Well, do you work during the day? And let them answer the question about when they work during the day, and then you go ahead and try to set a second appointment. If there's not a good time for them, hopefully you've at least got their email address. We're going to go ahead and send them your pre-listing package, your net sheet and stuff, and that's when, if you don't set an appointment with them, you go ahead, send everything over, do it like you promised, send it like immediately, within a couple hours at least. As soon as I send it, I send them a text that just says, hey, Scott, this is Jason Morris from EXP. I want to make sure you got the information I sent you over. Let me know if you have any questions. And then from there, once I send the text, I follow up the next day. And that starts based on their motivation, that starts a follow-up process for me where I literally just start following up extremely, extremely diligently. And that's the thing too, is that most listings aren't gotten on the first call. Sometimes on the first call I get an appointment.
Yeah, what is your typical? Yeah, what is your average follow-up? Like what typically? Because here's the challenge, and I don't know if anybody's asking this question yet. I haven't seen it, but a lot of rejection. So I think agents want to market to FSBOs. They're looking for a silver bullet. They're looking for a shiny whistle. Like, how do I make this easy? How do I get the business? But obviously, this is a sales game. This is a persistence, consistency type thing. How do you help someone to overcome that? Knowing that, hey, I'm going to get a ton of no's. How do you make it about the relationship first? Like, how do you get to where you overcome that?
Well, you do that. I do it through follow-up. Like that first phone call, nobody knows who I am. And the magic bullet and the secret and everything, it's follow-up without a doubt. I know we talked a minute or two about Grant Cardone before we started, and he had a thing a while back that was going around Facebook, and he was talking about only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. And it goes on like 3% are made on the second contact, but then like 80% is made from the 5th to the 12th contact. So I have it in my mind that now for sub owners, now keep this in mind too, you're not going to get 20 or 30 of these a day, new ones. Typically, a big day for me in my market's 3 to 5 leads, 3 to 5, for sub owners. Some days I'm not even that lucky, Some days I get one, just depending on what I'm doing. So I just automatically have it in my mind that for me to list their house, I'm going to have to talk to this person 10, 12 times. You know, like I listed one, I listed one last week where I was looking back through my notes and I'd been following up with this guy for almost 4 months. And I mean, the guy would put me off, he would set an appointment with me, then he'd call and cancel. And what I ended up, he had this magical buyer that he thought was coming from another market and was going to pay cash and was going to pay top dollar and all that stuff. And basically we're a lot of times we're waiting for this person to fail or waiting for that motivation to become real. You know, when they first started talking to you, they threw it up on Craigslist and they were getting a lot of calls, but
Yeah.
after 3 or 4 weeks, 6 weeks, they realized that those calls, 99% of them are either wanting to rent the house or they're wanting some funky version of owner financing, or it's rent to own, a land sales contract. They want to give them $200 and do a catch me when you can type of plan. You know, it's really just some kind of bullshit stuff. There's 1% probably of Craigslist calls are probably real calls, you know. It's great because
Yep.
it's free, but then you deal with all the fake calls. So typically for me, I'm probably doing 9, 10, 12 follow-ups average. I mean, I've conditioned myself to believe that I have to do
Okay.
like 12 follow-ups, you know.
Yeah, 5 to 12. Yeah.
There's a great
Hey,
book out there. Yep.
go ahead. I was just going to say, I think, and excuse me if I'm saying this wrong, Bettina, Bettina, maybe it's Bettina Robson. She asked if you do any video, 3 to 4 minute presentation video, which might be a great idea, but a 3 to 4 minute presentation video using Camtasia screen capture with live voiceover, just on your presentation. Great idea.
I don't, and the reason being is because I find that most of my clientele, and it may vary for other markets, but most of my clients are, I'd say, 45, 50 plus, and as agents, man, we're a pretty tech-savvy bunch. I mean, we got the latest toys and latest gadgets and, latest iPhone and stuff, but most of these people, I mean, I show up to some of my clients' house, they still got a flip phone, So I think a lot of things like video text and even text through video through email, so a lot of these things are above the skill level that my clientele have as far as their tech-savvy skills, Um, I find that open a PDF is basically within everybody's skill set or technology skill set, but anything above that, man, I don't do it. Like I get asked a lot about BombBomb and sending video text through that, and I mean, let's face it, dude, I'll be 36 in April. My entire life, I think I've got like 5 video texts, maybe.
Right,
So if you
right,
sent me
right,
one
right,
today, I may
right.
not know what to do with it. So in most of my
Yeah.
clients are that 50 plus range. I just think that a text is kind of cutting edge with a lot of them, and I think that a lot of agents that are doing a lot of those text, they're overwhelming the client.
So there's a lot of questions coming in. I think we answered this at the beginning, but you said you use RedX, Craigslist,
Yes.
Zillow. Do you use Vulcan 7? Have you heard of that? Have you used Vulcan 7 at all?
No, man, I don't use Vulcan 7. I get asked a lot about this. For expireds, I use RedX. I use Onyx.
Onyx,
Man,
okay.
yeah, Onyx. I don't think they're marketing that yet. I think that I went out to Utah and did some interviews with Mark Black, and I'm the only other person other than Mike Ferry that's actually interviewed Mark, the CEO of RedX, and a lot of that was for their Onyx release. And Onyx is their premium data source, man. And if there's 10 expireds out there, you're going to get numbers for probably 9 of them, and probably like 50 to 60% of those numbers are going to be correct. So I've tried everybody, and nobody compares to what Onyx offers. But my main sources of leads for sale by owners is I use RedX for sale by owner service. I use RedX Onyx for expireds, and then I use ZBuyer quite a bit.
Okay.
And ZBuyer is a little different. ZBuyers they operate a network of we buy houses type websites, and they basically sell those leads to investors and real estate agents. So it's a little different conversation than what for sale by owners are, but typically I find there's a little less competition, there's a little more motivation. I mean, these are people going online, they're actually looking for somebody to make them a cash offer on their house.
Okay.
Most of them aren't going to be good enough deals for me and you to buy, you know what I mean? They're not going to be good
Yeah,
enough
yeah,
deals
yeah.
to flip, but they're good enough for a solid retail listing, you know what I mean? Like 90% of fair market value, 95% of fair market value.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. All right. Some great questions coming in. Okay, so guys, I down in the chat box, the first time I typed in Jason Moore's pre-listing package, I did type it wrong, so I apologize. But the second time is correct. I just checked it myself. So I know, man. It's like, oops, that's a big one. So there's a ton of questions coming in, so I'm not gonna respond. I've been responding to a bunch of people on that. So the second one in the chat box at the very bottom has the correct one, but it's the second one. So sorry about that. There's that. Have you ever used, okay, Belkin 7, we talked about that. Any way to, not that. Let's see. All right. Okay, when do you okay, here's a good question by Danny. Thanks, Danny. When do you provide the pre-listing package to the potential client, and do you allow them to keep it?
Oh yeah, it's emailed in a PDF. I mean, so they can keep it, they can do whatever they want to it. A lot of agents I get, you know, they think this is a secret that we have, you know, this pre-listing package and marketing package. But here's the thing, man. This thing, send it out to every single person that you possibly can. You know, it's going to do you no good to spend a lot of time building this and then keep it on your desktop. Send it to every person that you can get their email address.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your name out there. Yeah, and maybe that's a scarcity mindset that somebody else might swipe it and use it or whatever, but obviously it takes more than just a pre-listing package to get the deal, wouldn't you agree? It takes a relationship, it takes follow-up, it takes asking for the business.
Here's the thing too, I mean, like, I see we got 331 people listening right now, and here's the thing, you know, there might be 50, 100 people that go download this pre-listing package today, but out of that 100 people that download it, how many people are actually going to take the time, fill it out, put their information in, and use it? I mean, that's the key. I mean, I'd be willing to bet that in your market, with all the tools we have available as agents and all the ones that our franchises provide and all this stuff, how many agents do you think ever have a pre-listing package? I mean, man, I get listings over agents all the time, Scott, because I use this one line. They'll tell me, they say, hey, we're interviewing so-and-so from, you know, whatever company. And I say, oh, that's great. Well, look here. What I'd like for you to do, I'm going to send you over my pre-appointment package. Is going to tell about me and my team and what we do to sell houses. And what I'd like for you to do is I don't really know, you know, Joe Smith or whatever his name is. You should request his also. That way you can compare them side by side and compare it, you know, make sure you go with the person who's going to do the most for you and your property, because I know this is important for you.
Yeah.
Man, I have never had another agent to send the client a pre-listing package.
Okay. Here's a great question coming in by Audie. He says, what's the best, and this is a great question, what's the best way to overcome commission, as that's really the main reason they list for sale by owner? How do you overcome that, brother?
Well, one thing is using that net sheet and then using a pricing strategy that's easy for everybody to understand. So commission isn't an issue if you can get them the price that they're looking for. You know, like if you say, if you tell me, hey Jason, I want $150,000 for my house, and I tell you, oh, okay, Scott, you know, that's great. I get you $150,000 in your pocket. Then I show up at your house. I go down through my active strategy. I pull out my net sheet. I go down through and say, hey Scott, we're going to put your house on the market for $165,000. You know, here's how it compares to other ones in the neighborhood. This is what we're going to do to market it. And, you know, once the attorney fees come out, miscellaneous fees, the transfer fees, real estate commission, you're going to walk away with $153,000 or whatever that number is. That's above $150,000. Scott, so would you be happy with $153,000? And you know, 9.9 out of 10 is going to say, yeah, they only wanted $150,000 for it. So use that net sheet as your tool to overcome those commission objections.
Got it. And really, and isn't it more getting to know the person and why? I mean, just having a conversation with them, building a relationship with them, finding out why they want to sell, what price they need, what do they owe. I mean, it's just asking the tough questions, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, and two, like, I mean, I have this mindset that I've developed, and it's probably from years of doing this. I truly believe, like, in my heart, I believe I am the best person to sell your house. You know, you
Yeah,
might
yeah,
think you want to talk to the guy over there, this guy over here, but I am the best person, and I truly feel like
yeah.
that. And I think when
Hmm.
you start using your pre-listing package, start using your net sheet, start using, the same script and dialogue over and over again. Dialogue out your actual listing presentation, and start practicing
Yep,
over and over so that way you get that confidence. Um, because you need that confidence and you need it to show through so that they have confidence in you too. You know,
absolutely,
if you show
absolutely.
up, you haven't practiced, you don't have the comparables, you're not prepared. I mean, man, I show up 100% expecting to list your house. I mean, I got my paperwork filled out.
Ready to
It's all
roll.
highlighted
I'm
up
ready to
everywhere you
roll.
initial to
There you
sign.
go.
I mean, man, I
Right.
got a sign in the
Uh,
car. I got a lockbox. We're ready. We're 10 pictures away from getting your house on the market when I show up. Um,
yeah.
and that's how you need to be. Um,
Hmm.
and I tell agents this too. Man, don't you know? A lot of agents will want to show up and they want to do this whole digital signature thing, with clients.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, my conversions went up when I quit using my iPad. I mean, and the thing
Really?
is, you're showing
Okay.
up at a lot of these people's
Interesting.
houses. Yeah, like
Sure.
we got, maybe if you're in Silicon Valley where everybody's super tech savvy, um,
Hmm.
but when I'm meeting you face to face, I got real paper for you to sign. It's easy to go down through, and that's something else too, Scott. Like nobody talks about this stuff enough. All of our brokers in charge, they want to talk about, the listing paperwork, and they want to tell you all the scary shit that's in there, and how one
Yep,
time somebody done something and they got sued. You know what I mean? But that literally
yep,
happened one time in the history of the market. So
yep.
these agents, they sit through these classes, and then they go to the person's house and they relay all these damn scary stories, and then they read their 10-page contract word for word. And I mean, I think every listing package has the sex offenders thing in there. And here's
Oh
the
yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah.
that paragraph's scary as hell, man. You think there's a
Yeah.
child molester living next door to you if you read it. But in reality, that
Right.
just says, hey, there's a
Right.
list out there you can check if you're concerned. And, as agents, man, not only do we need to be prepared with the paperwork, our net sheet, our
Uh-huh.
comparables and stuff, we need to be prepared and be able to present that paperwork correctly on like a third grade level. An easy,
Absolutely.
painless way to
Absolutely.
present that. Like your
I
mortgage
would a
docs,
hundred
man.
percent agree. I would a
Hey,
hundred
if you
percent
went
agree, man.
if you went through all your mortgage docs word for word
Yeah.
with every single client,
Crazy.
how many clients do you think would
Crazy.
sign that?
Well, I'd only have
Yeah,
time
yeah,
for one
nobody
per
would want to
day.
sign that.
I'd have time for one per day. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it's crazy. Yeah,
that's right. Their eyes would roll back in their head. I mean, let's face it, attorneys wrote
yeah,
this up. Nobody likes all this legal stuff, no way. You know?
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you need to practice. You got to go through and script out all your paperwork. I've scripted out mine. I practiced it. And, that confidence even going through your paperwork. Like I've been on listing appointments with new agents before, and they sit there and they
Here's a
stutter
great
and they
one.
kind of beat around the bush with certain things and questions.
Here's a great one for you. What do you do if they want too much money for the house? How do you handle something like that, man?
You just tell them they want too much for it. And I
Okay.
mean,
And how does that
I mean,
typically go? Do you typically walk away from it more so than,
um, dude,
or
I'm,
what? Like,
I'm so painfully, brutally honest. I just go, hey,
I love it.
hey, Scott, you want too much for your house, man. I can't get you that. Sorry. and
Okay.
um, and unbelievably, sometimes people go, well, how much can you get me for it? And then
There you
you
go.
give them a
There
real
you go.
answer.
Yeah. Right on. Right on.
Now, here's something that's going on in our world, in our country, and I'm not going to turn this into a political discussion, but the thing is, we know that mortgage guidelines are going to probably change here in the next few months, and mortgages are going to get easier for people, as they should, because, if somebody's paying $1,500 for a house a month to rent it, but they could go buy that same house for $1,200 a
Right.
month, even if they got a weak credit score, why can't they buy that house? It don't make any sense. Um,
I'm with you.
so we know those guidelines are gonna change, and it's gonna be easier for people to get a loan, I believe, in the next 6 months when Dodd-Frank or Frank Dodd gets changed. Okay, so we know that's going to happen. And then we know that once that happens and it gets easier for people to buy a house, it's going to put pressure on inventory. So I believe in 6 to 12 months, we're going to start seeing prices go up like crazy. And even these secondary markets, you know, I'm not talking about just like in Denver or Los Angeles. We're going to start seeing it like in Columbia, South Carolina. You know what I mean? Rock Hill, South Carolina. It's right out of Charlotte. And I believe that, man, we should be going out there, like our number one job every day should be going out there and building as much inventory as you possibly can. And I would not be scared to take a listing right now that I think is 10-15% over where I think it should be priced.
Really?
Yeah, I think
so
you should
would
take
actually take it. Well, yep. I mean, there's two sides to the table, right? Like if you take it and people, whether people call on it or not, do you look at it as I have a chance to get a buyer lead from that house because only one person can buy the house, or how do you?
Well, you got a chance.
What's your mindset behind that?
To get buyer lead. Well, too, it's kind of a business decision for me too, because here's the thing, you know, where's the best place for a sign? You know, in their front yard or in the trunk of your car? You know, I mean that's one thing. Yeah. So you get a chance to get buyer leads, but yeah, let's say. Let's say, you know, there's 10 houses in the neighborhood. You know, you really think this thing should be priced at 160, but you're going to price it at 175 or even 179, right? Okay, so, you know, let's say there's 5 that are priced less than yours. In the next 5 months, those 5 sell. Okay, and as new listings are coming on the market, they're going to be priced higher because we're going to have more pressure on inventory anyway.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, like 3 months from now, 4 months from now, you go from being the number 5, 6, 7th house to being the number 2 house. You know, so it might not sell today.
Yeah.
But you got a 6-month listing agreement, 3-4 months down the road, you got a good chance of selling it. So that's my thoughts on like inventory and what you should be taking.
Okay.
You know, plus you can always price reduce.
Here's a great one. Here's a great one, and I get this question about every class. What CRM do you use to keep track and keep you organized? Great question.
Man, right now, you know, I've used LionDesk some. I've been using Realty Juggler. I got a follow-up app that actually I'm developing myself. It's a simple follow-up app for your A leads, and it should be actually. I was hoping we'd have it released today, but it's not. But I got a list if you guys want to. If you want to sign up for it, I'll email you as soon as it comes out. It's called jasonmorrisfollowupmaster.net is where the sign-up list is, and it kind of gives some details and stuff out there. But and that is actually like in the next 90 days, it's going to be a full CRM. And what I found is like a lot of them, like, and I don't want to single out any, but you know, a lot of them just don't have the features I need, or their features are too complicated. So I started talking to this guy who's a programmer, and I said, hey man, yeah, I need something that's easy for me to use. It's easier for me to get an assistant or a virtual assistant to use, and it just keeps up with my people that's going to buy something. You know what I mean? And we started out developing the app first because I told him I was keeping up with my A leads. I was keeping up with them. Well, I've been doing this for years, man. I've been keeping up with them in a notebook, you know. I told you before we started, like I'm pretty low tech. So I was using a spiral notebook, and still, you know, sometimes I'd be going down the road and I drive by a house and I go, shit, they got a Remax sign up. I forgot to call that guy. And you know, and you go, man, and what you got to do with yourself mentally is you got to start associating that missed follow-up with money. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Damn, I could have listed that house and that guy just took $4,500 away from me and my family, right? You got to start associating that loss with those things. You know, so I was missing stuff, and I started talking to this guy, and I said, "What can we do?" And he starts telling me what we could do, and so I built this app originally for me, and then I felt like after telling people about it, when I started doing it, they kept saying, "Hey, well, I think I want it." So we're that jasonmorrisfollowupmaster.net, that's like the waiting list for it to come out. So but CRMs,
Mel Morris, follow-up list.
Followupmaster.net. That's the waiting list.
Follow up. Okay. Master.net.
But you know, really,
sure I got it straight. Go ahead,
But
Bob.
man, really the best CRM, Scott, is the one that you're actually going to use. Yeah.
You know what? I love that name.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the truth. That's the best one. It could be,
Yeah.
you know, Top Producer, Bomb, or,
Yep.
you know, I know
Yeah.
index cards, you know.
I've delegated my CRM, bro. I was like, okay, I don't like any of them. There's like a little too much, too little here. So I just have somebody else manage it for me. That's what I did. So then I know it gets done,
Yep.
and I know there's follow-up in place. I know there's, yeah, so, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know,
Just, you know, I think what I've found is I think we try to do stuff that we're just not good at, we don't like. I mean, if you're good in sales, we're typically not good, and it's okay. We're not good at details. We're not good at checklists. We're not good at CRM systems. That's why in the real estate industry, if you're good at what you do in selling and building relationships and asking for the business and stuff like that, you're typically not going to be good at little CRM stuff. It's just not our DNA.
Right.
So,
right.
you know, stop trying to fight it. Find somebody who is good at it and have them run it. That's my opinion.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, you gotta delegate sometimes. I suck at paperwork, man. It's not actually getting the paperwork signed. Sometimes it's getting it from my car to the scanner to scan it in. You know.
I know, man. I know.
You know, that's my problem. Getting it from the passenger seat of my car.
Yeah.
And
I'm telling you,
I
man,
agree with you 100%
brutal.
on that.
Yep.
So what other questions do we have?
Sir. Let's see. Questions. Let's just finish up here. Let's see. Michael's agreeing with me. I'm not good at it, but don't have the funds currently to do it. Okay. Yeah. You know, here's my answer. So he says, I'm not good at it, but I don't have the funds to delegate to someone else. Here's the thing. You can't afford not to delegate someone. I'll just say that. It's amazing. If you delegate the stuff that you know should be done, so you only sell and you are selling 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day, it's amazing what happens very, very fast to your business. Sometimes you got to go all in. What is the book that Jason was going to recommend? You were going to recommend a book, and I think you were talking about it, and then it just kind of got sideswiped there.
Yeah, I think we got sidetracked. You know, a great book if you guys want to read on sales is Chet Holmes. Chet Holmes wrote one book. Jesus, I can't think of the name of it right now. But he only wrote one. He was a sales trainer. Well, he was a sales trainer, and he ran the sales divisions of a lot of Berkshire Hathaway, Charlie Munger's companies. And Ultimate Sales Machine. That's what it's called. Ultimate Sales Machine. Man, I've probably read that book like 15 times. Yeah. My app that I'm developing was developed a lot with the idea. He goes through a follow-up routine there called the Dream 100, and I use this same strategy a lot in my business. And my app was kind of developed with that in mind. You know, let's say you got 1,000 expireds, or that you got out there. Rather than going and mailing out and trying to follow up with those 1,000 expireds every day or every week, go through those, sift through them, sift it down to like the top 100, the top 200, and instead of sending out like a cheap mail piece, send out something to 1,000 people, send out something really good to like 100 people or 200 people, and you'll see your sales start skyrocketing. Instead of following up with all 1,000 people twice and making 2,000 calls, make 2,000 calls to say 100 people. You know what I mean?
Yep, I'm with you.
That's the problem we have, man. Everybody talks about hustle, everybody talks about hustle, but then they don't have a strategy they're hustling on, And that's really why I've been so successful with for sale owners and stuff is you got to have a strategy, you got to have a plan in place.
All right.
Calling out the phone book doesn't work.
All right, so let's just recap and we'll get off this call. I appreciate you guys' time. Jason, I appreciate you. So first and foremost, if you want to get the pre-listing package that Jason Morris has provided for us, all you got to do is go to jasonmorrisprelistingpackage.com. You got to spell it right. And you're going to have to put in your information, which I've already did this and I know it works. You're going to get a confirmation email to say, are you a real person? You have to click on confirm. It will, once you confirm it, it will then, within a couple minutes, send you the pre-listing package that you can download. Now, the other thing that it sends you is it will send you, I'm just going to show you here, it will send you a Facebook page. I would highly recommend being a part of that group if Jason wants to let you in. He's 8 to 9,000 people there. I would assume that you got to be a real estate agent to get in. Here's the link to the download. And then I didn't read through this because I'm on this call, but there's a bunch of, here's an email I send out. So he gives you the email that he sends out.
Yes.
So he really gives you every single thing that he's doing. So that's awesome. The other thing that I wanted to give you in is the Jason Morris Follow-Up Master. I did post the link down there. I did verify it before I did post it, so it is spelled correctly, and it does work. So that's coming soon. So stay attention. Stay on top of that as well.
Yeah, that's for the waiting list. Jason Morris followupmaster.net. Yeah.
Okay. Jason Morris. Yep. Followupmaster.com. Yeah. All right, cool. So,
hey, my book's free tomorrow.
I appreciate.
My book's free tomorrow.
Yeah. And Amazon.com. Let me just go there really quick. Amazon.com, Amazon.com. It's called
53 strategies to get more listings. Yep.
53 strategies to get more listings. 53 strategies. So there it is right there. Comes right up. Don't even have to search for it. It will be free tomorrow on Amazon. Or, excuse me, it's already free. It's already free, man.
Oh, it's already free. Cool. We'll download it today.
Yep. So you can, if you don't have a Kindle app, just go download the Kindle app on your computer, on your phone, Droid, Google, it doesn't matter, iPhone, whatever. Get his 53 strategies to get more listings. Dude, that's awesome, man. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. Guys, if you just get one, use one. I mean, it gets you one more listing, man. It was worth being on this class. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh,
so, I sincerely appreciate it. Congratulations on all your success. Can't wait till your next book. Can't wait to read it. So, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you taking time out of your day. And, man, anytime you want to come back on anything you got, man, just let us know. I'll be more than happy to show it to the group.
All right. Sounds great, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. If you're joining us for the first time, go to facebook.com/groups/agent mastermind and join our growing real estate group. You have to be a real estate agent to get in. We'll check your profile and question it. If we can't see it, I would highly recommend making sure that it says you are a real estate agent so that people know who you are and what you do for a living. Appreciate you guys. See you same time, same place on the web next week. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.